Welcome to Hopscotch-N-Jacks,
A podcast where we take our inner child
back to school to unpack and unlearn
the lessons that shaped us to better ourselves
and our futures. I'm Karen.
And I'm Justice.
Let's go. Now, normally we would be going straight into morning announcements, but today we're doing something different. And instead, we're going straight to recess, where we want to hang out and talk about the movie Sinners. Set in 1932, twin brothers escaping trouble return to their Mississippi hometown to start again, only to discover a great evil is there to welcome them back. Most creators are dissecting the movie's themes of racial violence, spiritual traditions, and the industry's outsized reaction to Ryan Coogler's not historic if you're not black deal. Instead, we want to discuss the film from the concept of the inner child. Who are Smock, Stack, and Sammy at the start of the film, and how did their upbringings produce the results they did?
Let's start with Stack, right? He's portrayed as a tough, emotionless leader, but if we look closer, there lies a deeply wounded inner child. He expressed to Sammy when they were driving into the city that he was the child that got beat the most by his father, right? And so, as we all know, when you were a child growing up in an abusive household, a lot of times you build these defense mechanisms over the years, and that feeling of being unsafe and unheard, you are always trying to overcompensate for that. He has the need for control, and he's reluctant to show any vulnerability, right? You really notice that in how he interacts with Mary, who is his love interest. He doesn't want to show her how much he really cares for her at the train station in one scene where she's first introduced. One, she's a white-looking woman, and two, I don't think he's really shown any type of commitment to any woman. This is just speculation because it is a movie, but it doesn't seem like he has committed his heart to anyone. And when you notice how Mary is trying to pull some type of feeling from him, you didn't show up to my mom's funeral, she took care of you and everything, and you did this to me, blah, blah, blah. He's very like, and so what? Got you a white husband. Be happy. There is nothing there, and I have a feeling it's also because he lacks the experience of having a sense of security, and he's always yearned for some type of consistent nurturing. They lost their mother, and then his older twin brother kills his father. And the only nurturing they did receive was through Mary's mother, who pretty much took them in so that they had food to eat and a bed to rest their heads, right? And even then, he was still missing something. Maybe he's missing it because it didn't come from his mother. I don't know the story about how his mother passed away, but it didn't seem like they grew up knowing her.
I think that she might have passed away in during childbirth.
Oh, well,
I don't know if that was clear in the movie, but it felt like they did not grow up at all. It seemed like Haley, that is not her name. It is Mary.
That is the person that plays Mary.
Mary is the person who says that her mom nursed them. Yep. So I think that probably happened, if not in childbirth, in infancy.
And I don't know how. I feel like there's an importance to have, when a child is brought into this world, to have that connection with the parent that held them for 9 months. They say you need to get on that breast milk, you need to do this and all this other stuff. But there is this need for connection once they enter the world from the womb. I don't know what it feels like when you lose your parent at birth. Some people, I can only speculate that it's a possibility there is a missing component that's unspoke of, because maybe you don't even know what it is. And it's in relationship to nurturing. having that person to nurture you. And a lot of women that go through postpartum depression and everything like that, they talk about that. Like, I just wanted to be away from the kid. I just wanted to be away. And those kids that grow up in those situations feel like they felt abandoned from the person that gave birth to them,
Right.
you know? So I just find that very interesting that he was lacking that. And when she said the words, "Do you remember laying your head on my chest and falling asleep?" You know, that was almost like a cuddling moment, you know, being nurtured, being taken care of, and feeling that everything that you were missing, you know. So with that, you know, that to me, my opinion, the reason why he is the way he is because of the different things that was missing throughout his childhood, with his mother not being there, not having a father that was teaching him how to be a man, but how to fear a man. And then let's just face it, it's in the 1930s, right? So now you're also facing racism and the fact that he does have fear of loving a white woman. This could be a problem.
A little bit.
A little bit of a problem. So some of the things I can see him doing as protection for her, but then a lot of the things I see his inner child trying to protect him from anything bad that can come of his actions.
Well, I mean, I want to talk about a couple of things that you've mentioned. The biggest one being that he was taught to fear man. I don't know if that's the case. It seems like both twins are very fearless. They don't have a whole lot of that. I think that what their father taught them was to instill fear. I think that their father was someone who stoked fear, and obviously Smoke had to eliminate that because he was protecting Stack at the time when he killed his father. But all of the lessons that they learned from their father seemed to be that they would move with decisive action and violence if they needed to take care of themselves. Like when the men are trying to steal from the truck in the beginning of the movie, he's like, "No, I can't. I can't stop. It's not enough to stop you from doing this. I have to let the world know that you tried it and you left limping without, full use of your knee." Like he shot the first guy in the butt and said, "If you keep running, this bullet will meet you where you're going." Like, to me, that is a man who has a sense that violence is the answer to problems. And back then, this is not unusual back then. Back then, the laws were not nearly as stringent. People, even now, there's the what is this? The stand your ground law. If you can do it in self-defense, like those things are what we expect now in the current day. But back then in 1932, like there was a sense of lawlessness. You didn't have to be in the West. You could be in the South and kill somebody because they were rummaging through your trunk. But all that to say, they move with instilling fear. They believe that that is how it's done. And most leaders are that way. They think that it's better to be feared than to be respected or loved.
And I feel those people who live a path of instilling fear in others are the ones who are most afraid.
Okay.
I think they're the ones that are more scared because, just like Mary says in the movie, she could sense his fear. She could sense his fear of them getting caught. She can sense his fear of committing to love. She can sense his fear of running from the north to come back here. She could sense they were running from something. She could sense his fear. You need this money. There's something inside of you. You can be all man and all tough and all that stuff, but at the end of the day, you are afraid, and you're going to be the first one to shoot. Not because you're a badass, but you're going to be the first one to shoot because you're afraid of getting shot. You know, so if somebody comes in my house, as you were saying before, if someone comes in my house, I know I'm probably scared and I'm gonna get my gun. And if I shoot you, I shoot you, you know, but I'm gonna shoot you because I'm protecting myself, but I'm also fearful at the same time. So it's like I think you can be both. And it seems like a lot of the people who are in power, especially these days, who walk around saying, I'm gonna pull the trigger, um, they're some of them are little cowards. I'm not even going to get deep into that because that's not what this episode's about. But I think some people that live with instilling fear in others is because they're fearful themselves,
I don't
and
disagree.
and that's a scary type of leadership, and scary way to live your life. But it does come in to be a hero as well, an opportunity to be a hero. And that's going to Stack's brother, Smoke, who, out of fear of his brother who continued to get beat by his father, to protect him, he had to kill his father, right? So it all comes into play, I think. Maybe, maybe not. The inner child.
Yeah, I don't disagree. So here's the thing with Smoke. Smoke grew up protecting Stack from their father and probably protecting Stack from himself. Because one of the things that I noticed with Stack is that he was very much someone who was, looking for a good time. I mean, outside of, the trying to get married to get on, because he was trying to protect her, he seemed to be someone who was just a lot looser than Smoke. Smoke was, the responsible one, as opposed to Stack, who was, someone who could be a little bit more carefree, probably because
He had his
Smoke
big
is
brother.
going to handle it, So if he gets into trouble, Smoke is gonna, come to the rescue. But due to these circumstances, Smoke had that sense of responsibility and even more of a need to control. Like, I look at the scenes where he was in the juke club, and they are okay with taking the wooden coins,
yeah, something,
the money. Yeah.
Something in the South in Mississippi that wasn't acknowledged anyplace else.
Right, exactly. So he's like, no, I'm about this business. I am doing the work to get us to see success, and we're not going to see success if we have this fake money. We can't play with monopoly money. We need real dollar bills with presidents on them. And so I think that is what Smoke was really about. Smoke was really about the dollars and the cents. He was about, this is what makes sense. This is what works. This is the fact that Stack was very deferential. Would you say that he was deferential to his brother? That speaks a lot to how they grew up as children. Like, I have to look to Smoke the number of times that Stack looked up when he was talking to Mary. And he was like, wait, hold on, I can't do this because my brother's watching. And he did.
My brother said, get her out of here, I will.
Right. And he did not move from the space. Like, I was thinking about right before they go off to have sex. He's like, I can't do this. I can't trust. I can't, I'm worried about these things, and I'm most worried about Smoke because I don't want that smoke.
I don't want that smoke. And which is similar because that was the interaction there. But then when he had the interaction with Annie, or Anne, is Anne or Annie?
They called her both.
Okay, so when he had the interaction with Annie at her place after he laid the flowers down to his dead child and everything, when Smoke was in there, he had the same reaction to the money. But most importantly, he tells a story of power, right? So you're speaking of, he's about that money, he's about this, he's about business and handling the business. And in that interaction, he also shared a sense of wanting to be more and get himself in a position that he's more. I don't think he ever looked at his childhood as a place that defined him what's the word I'm looking for? Define him in, you know, when you come from a upbringing that's not as good and you want a better upbringing. He didn't feel like he came from a well-defined back childhood. He felt like, in my opinion, he was robbed of some things. Like when he talked about the story of finding a place in the bayou that you had proper Black people. That's what I'm saying. He didn't feel like he was a proper Black person because of his upbringing and the things that his life led him to do. But most importantly, his family, his father, the mayor of that bayou, knew who his father was and automatically thought that his sons are just as evil as their father. Right. And so scared them out of the bayou, right? So he never felt like he fit in with the proper people. He ain't fitting in with the Irish people. He ain't fitting in with the other people, the KK. Where can he fit in? And where he fit in was with Annie. That was his person. That was his home. That was his, again, he put his head in her bosom, right? That, I just think it was ironic. You know, Mary was like, oh, you lay down on my chest and fell asleep. And then we watch Smoke lay his head on her bosom. A nurturing moment of feeling safe in this space. So I feel like, you know, throughout his life, he was trying to chase this idea of what it's meant to feel free and what it's meant to be a man and what it's meant to protect your family. Yeah. You know, and the only thing that he could revert back to is what his upbringing taught him through violence. And so it's an interesting thing, you know. They both are living parallel lives and having parallel stories with their loved ones that they're with, but they're going about a little differently. One's willing to play with fire, the other one's willing to play with the spirituality.
Willing to play with fire, for sure. Gunfire.
Bang, bang, bang.
Back in the day, it was all about the guns. Not that it's not about guns now, but whatever. But yeah, I think that their dynamic was very, it was something that I feel like it's very relatable. Like usually you have the older sibling being the person who is a little bit more like not only responsible in general, but also responsible for the younger sibling.
Are you an older sibling?
No, I'm not.
What are you?
I'm the youngest.
Ooh.
I'm the baby.
I'm the middle child. My sister's the oldest. Yeah. But I'm the oldest on my father's side, but that's a whole nother story. But on my sister, like my mom's side, I am the middle child. And I think there is a connection between Smoke and my sister wanting to protect the siblings and feeling the need to have to protect them. Because, I mean, my mom was young. My family was young growing up. So there's a lot of things that they might see and look at things a certain way and feel like they have to be the responsible sibling. I feel that with Blue and Rumi. Like, Blue Ivy's like, I got to protect my sister. You know, and I feel like she feels like she has to protect her mom. It's just an interesting dynamic for the oldest child, which you don't know because you're the young one and you probably lived a whole different life than your older siblings, huh?
Yeah, it was very different. My sister is almost 10 years older than me, and my brother is almost 7 years older than me. So we did not grow up at the same age. We did not grow up together. They were already independent children when I was born. And so my sister, you know, had to take care of me, and she didn't like that too much. So
I mean, they're missing out on their life. Sometimes.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. I don't blame her for real for it, but we grew up very, very we were together because she had to take care of me, but not because, you know, we had that sibling relationship the way it's supposed to be. Yeah. So there is the aspect of protection, but it was also that you're younger and annoying, so go away.
those are my jeans.
Well, that was never an issue.
Never an issue.
10 years is a long time.
It is a huge gap. So speaking of older siblings, and so the way I look at these characters, I think even though Smoke and Stack are twins, I see Smoke as the older brother, Stack as the younger brother. But in this movie, I also see him as a middle child in the sense that he felt like he was the older brother to Sammy. Sammy is their cousin, right? And everybody in the movie talks about him as little Sammy. You're little Sammy? Everyone looked at him like, we got to protect Sammy. Like, everyone in this movie wanted to protect little Sammy. And they're like, these are the twins' cousin. Don't mess with him, you know? It was a huge, it's like they took him in as if that was their little sibling. That was their little brother. They were more than just cousins in this movie from the way I could see how they were very passionate. Even at one point when Smoke was like, you're never going to play here again, because he wants him to have a better life. Yeah. You know, so I thought that was interesting. And the reason why this is like something to point out is that Sammy's inner child, right, was struggling with his gift. And this gift that he had could kind of be a representation of the forbidden fruit. And therefore, you got the movie Sinners. You know, everyone's taking a bite of that forbidden fruit. And it's a tempting invitation to a world that his father is likely to condemn. Now, Sammy's father is a preacher man. He is known as the preacher's son, you know, so everybody is like, hey, I'm Sammy. Or he's introducing himself like, hey, I'm Sammy, I'm the preacher's son, you know. And the reason why they focused on the fact that he could be condemned by his father is because his father, who was the brother of the twins, the younger brother of the twins' father, really wanted him to live a good Christian life, and wanted him to follow in his footsteps and go down a righteous path, right? So when Stack and Smoke murdered his father, their father was a musician and played the blues. And so they took that guitar before they made that journey up north, and they gave that guitar to Sammy. And Sammy had these natural talents. He could sing, he could play, and everybody that heard him could feel so many different things. And that's what brought the storyline of the spirits coming to worship at that juke joint when he took a hold of the guitar and started playing. He brought the spirits in. Supernatural, everything, they all were driven there. Right. And so with that, because he was raised in such a home steeped in religious doctrine, when he played forms of certain music like the blues, which is, as I mentioned, he brings in the spirits because it's raw in emotion and it's often secular themes. And sometimes people considered that, especially in the past, as sinful music. But at the end of it, this was also showing him being rebellious and accepting the dark side of his family as well. So his inner child was being drawn towards the dark side that his father felt like was, no, you shouldn't go that way. You need to come this way. And they put it as if the music was what was drawing him there.
Drawing who there?
Drawing Sammy there. Because he wanted to go play at the juke joints. He wanted to be with his cousins all the time. He wanted to do everything that his father was saying no. And I think that guitar that they showcased throughout, I mean, it was also, I'm not going to get into that because that's more review, critique of the movie. That guitar became a symbol as rebellion against his father's expectations. And as a child that wants to go into dance or wants to go into art or doesn't want to be a lawyer, doesn't want to be a doctor, we do things that are rebellious against our parents. And so that gave him also the opportunity to speak his voice. The fact that he was able to pour himself into his songs, into the music, he was also able to embrace a part of his heritage that, you know, likely would have shunned him away from his father and everybody that wanted him to go down that other path. And a lot of people that deal with that, they are considered what the black sheep of the family. So these are the type of things I feel like Sammy was unpacking throughout the movie. But at the end of the day, his inner child let out his voice, was able to express everything that had been suppressed all these years. And he was able to share his story. I mean, when he took the guitar, and that gift could be a representation of the forbidden fruit, hence the title, Sinners. See how I did that? And this forbidden fruit could be a tempting invitation into a world that his father was likely to condemn, be it that his father was known as the preacher man, right? So just imagine an internal conflict that young Sammy had to deal with. He was being raised in a steep religious home, right? He was able to entertain with different forms of music, but the one that drew him in, the blues, was considered sinful, right? And be it that it was considered sinful, it was as if he was going up against his father and showing a sense of rebellion and trying to connect with the side of the family that was considered black sheep, the twins, right? So due to the fact that he was finding his voice and going against his father, the music is what brought in all the spirits in the movie when you see him taking to the stage for the first time. It kind of shows like he was connected to the spiritual world through his music. And I think that was a lot of the fear when you're being brought up, especially in the South, by our group of people, was that the blues is sinful. And I think it feels sinful because it's full of so much pain. When you listen to it, you can feel that person's pain. You can feel everything. It doesn't move you the way other music move you. This gets you into a very vulnerable state at times, right? And so I feel like we kind of run away from that. And by him growing into his own man, the insecurities and anxieties that he had as a child, he was able to break through. And it was on that stage where he was being seen for who he is, he was being accepted for who he was, and he felt the love for being just Sammy and didn't have to live up to whatever his father and the church was trying to make him become, right? And I think the significance in all of this is the song that drew in those spirits was called I Lied to You. You know, he had to introduce himself to everybody who was at the club, right? And he's like, hey, my name is Sammy. I'm known as a preacher's son, and I wrote the song for him. You know, a lot of people who were trying to heal their inner child, they write letters, they write poems, they write songs, they write a script to their parents or to a guardian, to someone that was raising them to be something that they didn't feel like was connecting with them. And they express everything that that person or made them feel at that time. And with Sammy, it was, okay, we're driving down this road. You're telling me I have to live this way, and you're telling me whatever you want. I can only speculate because I don't know. I wasn't there. But in my experience, there has been times where I've been told A, B, C, D, E, F, G, and I just agree to all of it so I can feel free. Right. You know? And so, but now he's got that courage. Maybe it's a little liquor courage because they had that Irish beer with him. But, you know, he had that courage. And he was like, I lied to you. And I think that is one of the things that people have to take in with this movie is self-discovery. Every single character is trying to discover who they are at that moment, trying to accept themselves for who they were at that moment, and trying to fight off the evils or the demons or the dark side of them that they didn't even know was still pumping through their blood. But they just wanted to escape from a lot of it. Escape from the pain, escape from working for the man, escape from not hitting your quota, escape from the fact that I can't love the woman I want to love, escape from the fact that I had to kill my motherfucking father, escape from the fact that I can't be the person that I feel I am because I won't have my father's love. And I think that's the key significance between the twins and Sammy, is that all three of them felt like they didn't have their father's love. Mm-hmm. And their mother in both situations were absent.
Well, Sammy's mom is still there.
Where is she?
She's the one he kissed when he brought his cotton quota.
Sammy?
Ruth? Sammy. Yeah, she was at the church when he walks in. And she's like, Sammy, and the dad is like, chill out, Sammy, put down that guitar.
Well, you know what? Maybe Sammy's okay. So I missed that part. I mean,
you didn't see the beginning?
I saw the beginning, but I guess I missed that connection.
Yeah.
And
I think her name is Ruth or Ruby or something.
But I mean, if the father's running the house,
yes,
there could still have, even though she's alive, she could have still been absent.
Oh, her ass sat back down.
Set back. So it still kind of runs along that he had to lie to him, you know?
Yeah.
So, but yeah, that's the connection with the inner child that I saw with these three main characters that I felt was great. What do you think about Sammy and his becoming of age?
I think that Sammy, it was very interesting because I feel like Sammy had the most changing to do, but it's funny because I don't think that he changed. In the beginning, he's like, I'm going to do this thing, and he leaves to do this thing. And and I don't mean the flash forward. No, he wanted to play. Like, he came to get the guitar. He went to work in the field early in the movie. Mm-hmm. He goes to his dad to get the guitar, gets the guitar, even though his dad is like, no, I don't want you to go. I want you to stay here and help me and all this other stuff. And he's like, nah, I'm good. I'm going to do this thing. And that thing being playing the juke joint. And he does that. And at the end, he's like, he comes back to that church and he's like, I am still going to do this.
He went through hell and back.
And said, I'm still going to do this. He's like, I think that scene with Remy, is that his name? Mm-hmm. Remick? I think that scene where Remick is baptizing him, that it was like a pivotal moment. He never let go of that guitar. He was never going to give that up because that was where he belonged. That was his gift. In the beginning of the movie, there's that voiceover that talks about his gift being something that can call in the ancestors. And yeah, he's just like, I don't think that he recognized what the gift was.
He didn't realize that his gift was his power. You got everyone else trying to figure out how to gain power, how to be that gift. He was born with that, and that was his power over everything, over his family, over the evil, over people trying to get him to do things that he doesn't want to do. That was his power that got him to where he was later on in life.
Yeah.
And I think that's the power. I don't want to play on the word power, but that was a powerful thing. Yeah. Didn't mean to do that. What I'm just saying is that's took the silver. And you know, he still almost died.
Yeah.
You know,
I mean, he almost died several times. Yeah. He was saved quite a bit. Like you said earlier, everyone was trying to help little Sammy, look out for little Sammy. Mm-hmm. And ultimately, he was the only one to survive, at least survive in human form.
Because everyone understood his gift.
Yeah.
Except for him.
Yeah.
At that time.
Yeah. But
so he got baptized.
Yeah, at the same time, it was because it was him. He was the little brother. He was the one that you looked out for. And, just the way you're saying about how the twins operated as if there were three of them and Sammy was the little brother. We didn't even get to see the other kids. We know they existed.
Yeah, I saw some kids in the church.
They were sleeping. He tells them to come in he tells them, Mama said, wake up.
Yep.
But it's only Sammy. It's only because of his gift that he's singled out, and he's the one who called Remy to them. Like, him playing that song is what attracted Remy, and that is how all of this came about. Like, maybe it would not have happened if he had not been at the juke joint. Who knows if Remy the next night had gone someplace else and was too far away to hear his the song, the call of his song. But I think that in general, like I said, I feel like he was very much the pivotal, the most important character because of that gift. And he spent his childhood feeling probably a little bit of, I don't want to necessarily say that he felt shame about it, but he felt like it was not accepted. His gift was something that could only be used in church, which is something that a lot of artists deal with even today. Like, we don't have to go back to the 30s. There are a lot of artists who are just like, I can only do this. I loved Heather Headley and her secular music, but she doesn't do that anymore. She's an actress now, and she's, we only hear gospel from her. Like, she made a choice where Sammy was like, I'm never putting down the blues. Yeah. It's my thing.
The young man that plays Sammy,
Miles Caton, I think.
Miles Caton, yes. He grew up in the church.
Yeah, his mom is a gospel singer.
And I find, number one, I thought he did a spectacular job in his role. And Michael B. Jordan, I didn't know there was Michael B. Jordan in the movie until the credits ran.
Oh, I knew.
I just saw Smoke and Stack,
Yeah.
A little Creed coming in. But I think everyone in this movie played their roles amazing.
Yeah, it was great acting.
But the significance of the fact that he grew up in the church, and you can see, if you go and look at older footage of him, you can see people being drawn to this young boy. Yeah. And so it just made perfect sense for him to play this role. Yeah. And so, yeah, congratulations on the movie Sinners. And I'm so happy we were able to talk about it on this show. But you also had some other things about the movie in regards to going home again.
Yeah. The interesting thing that I found about this movie is that the twins left. Maybe because I don't know. I don't think that they talk about why they leave. We know that they leave with a reputation that you don't mess with them. But outside of that,
maybe that was I think they didn't exactly say why they did it, but the fact that when Mary was like, you stole from both sides and came down here, I feel like they got into a lot of trouble down south. And they were like, well, let me just go up to the north and try to run things there. Maybe, like I said, they were looking to be proper, but they couldn't be proper, right? So maybe that was the case. Like, they were trying to do more because they went to the wars. They did a bunch of things.
I think that they were looking for a place. They were looking for some success. They thought that the North was going to be different from the South, and that there were going to be opportunities for them financially, and a little more of an opportunity to have a place in society and not be sharecroppers, essentially. That's my guess.
Because they didn't want to do that.
Yeah, that's my guess. I think that that's likely. And then they get there, they're working for Capone, they're in a war, they're doing various things, and they're still not finding what they were looking for. They're not finding a place in society in which they could be men and treated as equals, because the 30s is not the time for that. We talk about trying to make America great. I don't know at what point was America great for Black folks, but it was not in the 30s in the North or Germany or anywhere else they had gone.
It wasn't great for a lot of folks. It wasn't great for the Chinese. It wasn't great for the Irish. No. Remick was an Irish, and I thought that was kind of interesting that he was from Ireland, and the type of beer they had was the Irish beer. Yeah. The Sniffkins. It was like, I don't know when white became a thing. When was it? It was like the Irish can now be white. Like it was, you know what I'm saying? It's like, when was it a thing where it's like, we need all the white people to get rid of all these other people? It's like everybody, I was like, but you guys are all white. You do realize that. You may be from a different...
It's a class thing.
Yeah, but you're still white. Like, when did they say you're the pure white and you're the dirty white? Like, that is the thing that I'm trying... It's like, I understand it's a class thing, and I'm not trying to be funny. I'm really trying to figure out... It's like, I know we have the issues within our own race, right? The lighter you are, but the reason why we say the lighter you are, whatever the case that saying is because we have been brainwashed and manipulated that light skin is going to give you more opportunities to win. And that's because it was
We're
set
not
by
brainwashed
society.
by that. It's the truth.
It's the truth in the sense of, I've seen a lot of other cultures win, and they win by allowing the people who are scared the most, which is the lighter color, think that they are in charge, and they win in the areas that they thought was beneath them. So I just don't... Anyway, that has nothing to do with what we're talking about. All I'm saying is that I don't know what I'm saying. Let's go.
Okay, so the thing about when they got up to the north and they had gone across the seas and seen that they were still just Black men, still under
Powerless.
under the boot of white men or society in general, and they come back home because they say, I think it's Stack who says, we'd rather deal with the devil we know. But they came with money, and they came with a plan, and they're executing said plan with the juke joint. And Sammy is a very big part of that. And it's very interesting to me that Smoke does not want Sammy to be in the juke joint. He wants him to be upstanding and going to this proper town. And he tells him, even before the vampire stuff happens, he's like, you don't do this anymore. If I see you do this, I'm gonna kill you. And I don't think that he actually would, but he actually meant business, like, I really don't want you doing this. You are better than this. And I think that them coming home was just like, we have the reputation here. Even if we don't have the power, we can shoot. We can do all of the things that we need to do to protect ourselves. We have this money, we have this plan. All we need to do is execute. And unfortunately, we know what happens, but it's just very interesting to me that they, as opposed to when I think about in this time going back home, like if I was going back home to Louisiana, like I would feel probably a little bit of fear and some shame and a bunch of other stuff, wondering if I'm going to be accepted. Is it going to be the same? How is it going to be different? Am I going to fit in? And I feel like in this movie, they did a lot of that work with these two characters. You know, like they were trying to establish who they were. We have not changed. We're still in charge. We are going to throw you the best party you've ever seen. Like they're coming back to settle as well. I think that is very interesting that one of the first things Smoke did was go to Annie and say, hey, you know, it's he didn't, of course, just like most men, he did not actually say that I am ready to settle down and be with you. Instead, he's, you know, vague about it, except, you know, physically, just like you were saying earlier about Stack not being vulnerable. He is not vulnerable either. But he's there and I'm here and I want you to accept me. It's just pretend like I never left. That's how he's moving. I came with this and I am going to protect you. I'm going to be here for you. I'm going to provide for you. And I that's one of the things I really enjoyed about the movie, the connection between Smoke and Annie. It was like he had never left. But yeah, I think that them coming home again was a great thing that I resonated with quite a bit. I really enjoyed the revival of the Moore brothers and the Smoke Stack Twins, as they're called, back in there. I kind of wish that we had seen more of it. I wish it was like a TV show that we could see more of their interactions in this town, and
You know, coming home, the thing, you know, when you come home, you know the people who have your back and will do anything for you. And the reason why you know that is because they call you by your real name and you respond. Elijah
and Elias.
and Elias. And they didn't say it that much through the movie. And when they did it, it was really quick. And then you saw, for me, I saw this, the way they will look at the people, Mary and Annie, the way they looked at them, you saw their vulnerability. You saw whatever they had up. Smoke, you saw Elijah. Elias, you saw, like, Stack could not be, wait, did I get him wrong?
No, yes, right.
Yeah, Stack, you didn't see Stack. I was like, oh, so that's who you are.
Yeah.
And
they dropped their guards.
They dropped their guards. Their inner child was just, oh, let me put it back up. Wait, hold up. I got some vampire stuff. Fight. Right. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I can relate when I go home and, like, people don't call me by my nickname.
Right.
That's my family. And sometimes it catch me off guard here where I'm like,
how dare you?
How dare you? And then I'm like, oh, that's who I am.
Yeah.
You know? But yeah, I think it's a special moment and it allows you to connect back with your home roots. Like when they came back, and they did come back with a plan. It was a bloody plan.
Yeah. Well, I mean, they didn't plan. They didn't plan.
No, I wasn't talking about all that. I'm saying how they got their money and everything to be able to come back and buy the mill and hire all these people and do the juke joint. It was blood money.
We can assume that, yeah.
And, I think Annie confirmed it,
Well, I mean, both Mary and Annie at one point mentioned you did not get this money honestly.
Yeah, exactly.
But they never confirm or deny. They just let those characters believe what they wanted to believe. Excuse me.
So, do we want to go into religion versus?
No, I think we kind of covered religion versus
and good versus evil.
Yeah, I think that's kind of covered with all the stuff that's going on with Sammy and the fact that his dad is very much there are two paths. You can choose God or you can choose the blues. The blues, there's the devil, so you're choosing the devil. And if you choose God, you will not you will not play the blues and you will not be at the juke joint. And he was like, nah, dog. But I thought that was very interesting. Just one thing about Sammy, I thought it was very interesting that he was very responsible. This was definitely the upstanding man that his preacher father raised him to be. You know, like I think that he was good. He did everything that he was supposed to do. He showed up at the fields before there was light. Like, how did he get a full bag of cotton before there was light? He was doing what he needed to do to both please his father and probably God, but he was going to do this other thing. So I thought that was very interesting, and I love that about Sammy. But anywho,
that's the first. That's all right. Go ahead.
it's the first time I've said it this episode. Yes.
Thank God.
Hilarious.
Don't say it again.
Anywho,
no.
I think it's time to go after school. We take a dip in the pool, which is really off the wall. Something we can watch the Knicks play basketball. Okay, so after school, what are you working on, Justice?
Right now, I'm trying to lead with my actions.
Okay.
You know, so at this time in my life, it's all about my actions. Walk the walk, talk the talk, and I'm still doing it. It's only been a week.
Gotcha.
It's only been a week, but I like it. You know, to be quite honest, is that I've closed the door on some things, and I've come to terms and acceptance of some things that if I was younger, I would probably be like, ugh. But I kind of saw something like in the past week where some feelings had been lifted off my shoulders, and I felt a little freer. So I just want to focus on that and allow whatever my journey in life be. Yeah, that's pretty much it. Can't get into details about it because I'm still trying to figure it out, yo.
Understood. Well,
what about you, my friend?
I am working on my novel.
What?
Yes. I'm trying to get back into it on a consistent basis. Right now, I probably only write a couple of days a week, and I would really like to get up to 5 or 7 days a week. I used to write at least 60 minutes a day, but now it is not quite that. And so I'm trying to get back into a rhythm and be consistent with it, because that's the only way I'm gonna get her done.
Is it her?
Yes. All things I love are women. Just joking. All things I love are female. Again, joking. But yes, it is a her.
And what are you gonna do for self-care?
For self-care, I'm gonna try to take myself out on dates. I'm gonna kick back up with the thing that I was doing last year, which was taking myself on dates. And that is self-care because I'm doing something that I love and I'm not waiting for permission to do it.
So how do you ask yourself out? Because you had mentioned before, and now I have to ask people out. I feel like it's my duty. So now how do you ask yourself out?
I say, Karen, do you want to go do something? And usually I'm like, not really, but you're going to go do something. So it's more like forcing myself to leave the house.
So it's like, if you're going to do it, I'll come along.
Exactly. Well, if you're gonna do a thing, call Justice. But no, I'm just gonna try to get back into my doing something that I love and not essentially waiting for other people to do it. Because a lot of times, like, I used to love skating, but it's weird to go. It's not weird, but I find it strange to go and skate by yourself, or I find it, there's some things that I enjoy doing alone, but other things I'm just like, I don't do them if I don't have company. And I'm like, I need to just go and do stuff that I love doing because I want to.
I think before COVID, we used to go skating.
Yeah.
Shelby, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, we should get back to it.
Yeah.
I'll go skate.
Let's go skate.
You know what I'm saying?
You know what we need to go do?
What do we need to go do?
The gun range.
Yes. Hello. Bang, bang. I got you covered.
Yeah. I want to get the gat.
You know what I'm saying? Self-care for me. Let's see. Maybe I should get some more sleep. I tend to like working through the night.
I don't understand that.
I don't either. It's been a thing for years but I still wake up early. I wake up at 4 o'clock. Yeah. And
I don't understand that.
No, I don't know. I just feel like there's so much I want to do, and I just don't think I have enough time to do it in 24 hours. Yeah. Especially when I'm spending majority of my day working a 9 to 5. I'm like, oh, there's this other stuff that I want to do. Yeah. And so I have to figure out times where the world is shut off and I can be turned on to do the things I need to do. Yeah. And it's gonna, eventually things are gonna work out where my flow is a little bit better. But I don't know. It's just a thing.
It's a chicken wing?
I tried not to say that. I didn't want to do it, but
I could not help it. I heard it, so I had to say it.
Southern people, I tell you what.
Ain't no thing but a chicken wing on a string.
All right. So, you know what time it is?
It's time for the time capsule.
Time capsule.
So yeah, for the time capsule, I have a little old movie to go along with the theme here. Vampire in Brooklyn.
Eddie Murphy.
Eddie Murphy, yes. And Wes Craven, who directed it. I think we should all pull that up. I don't know where it's at right now. Is it on streaming? Is it on something I'm already paying for? Probably. Or, I have someone else's subscription that they're paying for. I think the last time it was on Max. I'm going to pull that out and I want to go check that out again because I haven't seen that in forever. It's like a 90s movie. So I'm sure that if I can't find it on a streaming service, maybe the library will have it. We'll see. What about you, friend?
I think for me, I haven't really thought this one through.
Why don't you bring out your sax?
I'll bring out my saxophone. You know what? That is a good one. I don't have it. But I used to play jazz growing up. Yeah. I learned how to circular breathe.
I don't know what that means, but okay.
You've heard of Kenny G, right?
No, who's that?
So Kenny G would play the soprano sax, and he would hold a long note, and he'll just keep holding it for a long time, and everybody be like, oh my God, how does he hold his breath so long? He's not holding his breath. He's breathing in through his nose, saving air in his cheeks, blowing out through his cheeks, breathing in through his nose. You get like a blowfish action.
Okay. Well, that's fascinating.
Work sometimes and other things.
Yeah, I was like, should I?
I mean, like ladies, when you go get your nails done and they take a long time, you just blow on them. Where are you going with that?
Oh, I was going with a different place.
Oh, God.
I mean, do you remember that
My
tutorial?
mom's watching. Can you not?
Oh, okay. I was about to say, Stack said something in the car that I felt was relevant to this, but maybe we won't.
We won't talk about that.
We won't? Okay.
And
if you are unsure, maybe go look at that scene. And if you need help with, other endeavors, that will help you. Yeah, I mean, and what she just said about the breathing through your nose,
breathing
and holding
through, doing that, and then wiggling your fingers and
yeah,
all that stuff.
DJ on it.
That's why people love saxophone players. All right, so let's talk about some homework, because if you keep talking, stand in that corner over there underneath those
timeout.
Time motherfucking out.
Don't put me in timeout. My mom's not gonna watch this because she doesn't want to see a movie with vampires.
It's Mama Dukes. Can I call her Mama Dukes? What's her? What do you playfully call her?
Mama.
Mama. That's it.
Her name?
I didn't call her by her name.
Ma'am.
Ma'am.
She's not gonna watch the
Mama
episode.
Ma'am, you need to watch this episode. Or Mama Ma'am, just understand the vampires, they're not that significant in this movie.
She's lying to you, mother.
Dude, the movies play about an hour before we actually see Remick.
No, it's not that long. But anyway.
I'm trying to get your mom to go see it. Play along
your
with me.
homework, she's not going to fall for it. Your homework is to share, like, subscribe, comment. Let the people know that you love us and show us that you love us by finding us at Hopscotch-N-Jacks Pod on Instagram and on all of your platforms, your podcast platforms.
You do that so well.
What?
You're fumbling.
I am fumbling.
You're like, where we at?
Save me.
So basically, what she's trying to say is that we're everywhere. We're on all the platforms that you find your favorite podcasts is
Plus,
at, right?
YouTube.
Plus YouTube, so you can see our faces. I can't believe we did that. And if you have an idea or you want to share, yes, we are. And if you have a story you would like to share with us, hit us up, Gmail style, hopscotchandjackspod@gmail.com. Or if you want to connect, say hello, get to know us as individuals, you can reach Karen at
Karen Got This.
Yes, and you can reach me at Art of Justice. That's justice with an IS, not an ICE.
All right, then. Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching. Deuces.
Peace.